Yeah, this is my first Breakpoint, super excited. Last time I spoke actually was at the Hacker House in Tel Aviv, and that day we actually presented that we're expanding into Solana. And ever since then, it's been good feedback. People are starting to notice us, so really, really happy about that. So thanks, guys, and thank you for everyone that's tuning in. So yeah, today we're going to be discussing how we're enabling high-performance interoperability for the Solana ecosystem. Yeah, let's just jump right in. But first, just looking back at the DeFi ecosystem as a whole right now, we can see that there's a bunch of different L1s, L2s. They're all on different chains, and the liquidity and the TVL in these different ecosystems are isolated and fragmented from each other. And in order to achieve like full capital efficiency in the DeFi ecosystem, there needs to be some kind of unified system that brings them together and the liquidity to transfer very seamlessly between these chains. And looking at the core pillars of cross-chain interoperability, so there are three core pillars that need to be solved. So the first one is probably the most important cornerstone, so transfer of authenticated messages or data. The second one is asset custody. So you have a token that exists on one chain, and making a derivative of it and accessibility of it on another chain in an efficient manner. And also the last one, which is also very important, is the transfer of liquidity and instructions with that liquidity transfer. So two tokens, they exist on two different chains, and making them tradable in the most efficient way possible. So that's also very important. But looking at the existing solutions right now, what we call classical bridges, they're based upon a fundamental model of liquidity pools, where the on-chain the price discovery happens on-chain, and there's an AMM element to it. So the issue with this is that these existing bridges, they're not scalable, simply because they're limited by the size of the liquidity pool in every chain. And as you get close to the size of that liquidity pool, slippage exponentially increases, and that's not very capital efficient for scalability. The other thing is that bridges, they're not very secure, and they're not favorable from a security perspective, because there's few smart contracts that are holding multi-million dollars of liquidity, and we've seen all these bridge hacks happen over time, and it's not favorable in that sense. Also, bridges are just not sustainable, because if we look at, for example, treasury bills, they're giving out a 5% yield risk-free. And considering the risks of existing classical bridges, they should be giving around 15% to consider those risks in place. And these bridges are holding hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in liquidity, and they need to give out that interest in some way. And what they're doing at the moment is giving out liquidity mining incentives even to the LPs in time, even if users aren't bringing value back to the platform. And over time, this affects longevity and the overall sustainability of the protocol. So yeah, our approach. So DLN, with the fundamental idea of our infrastructure is that we're based off zero TVL. So there's no passively locked liquidity in our infrastructure. And what that means is we're not actually swapping between chains, we're trading between chains. So it's like an off-chain order book with on-chain settlement, where on a source chain, in this case BNB, there are makers. In this case, a user has 1,000 USDC, and they're specifying that they want 999 on Solana. And the moment they create that order, it is temporarily locked in the source chain smart contract asynchronously. The moment that happens, the market makers on Solana see it off-chain. And if it fits their parameters, it's profitable, then they automatically provide the 999 on Solana, send a message to BNB chain, and then unlock the 1,000 USDC, and of course they make a small spread. And the beauty of this model is that it has very capital efficient usage of liquidity, because liquidity can be rebalanced, especially for scalability, because it's not passively locked. It just touches the smart contract when an order needs to be fulfilled. So more capital efficient. Zero TVL, of course, so more favorable from a security perspective, because the risk is taken off these multi-million-dollar liquidity pools and isolated to just one limit order, which is manageable by a market maker. And then fast settlement, because it doesn't depend on guaranteed finality. and the market makers, they're actually competing against each other for fulfillment. So the first market maker to fulfill the order will get rewarded with the assets on the source chain. And then lastly, also zero slippage on any order size because it's just a fixed 8-bit spread, so the user has a deterministic idea of what they'll receive, which is great. So more on the use case side, so one of the recent use cases is wallets. For example, our Solflare and MetaMask integration, where they're basically enabling a very seamless onboarding for EVM users into the Solana ecosystem. So we're the default bridge for MetaMask users into Solana and getting access to different protocols. And the cool thing is like I mentioned before, you can actually tie instructions to a cross-chain trade. So it can be anything. A user can be on Ethereum, and in one click, they can buy an NFT on Magic Eden, or provide liquidity on Orca, or place a perp trade on Drift, for example. And in this case, Solflare is allowing users to receive a small airdrop with their cross-chain transfer as a way to get them started in the ecosystem. And in this way, nearly instantly, liquidity is being bridged into the Solana ecosystem, which is great. Also, another big use case is instant cross-chain payments, and we've got actually Espresso Cash, who has submitted to the hackathon their MVP of this, where they're enabling instant cross-chain payments from EVM chains into Solana. And it's very favorable for this use case because we enable exact output for merchants. So let's say a merchant, they have a product, they want to sell it for 15 USDC on Solana and receive the funds on Solana. They can actually specify that they want to receive exactly that, and it will just reverse engineer and give them a quote on another chain, in this case Matic. So they can have a customer base on an EVM chain, but still receive exactly 15 USDC on Solana instantly. And you can't do that with existing classical bridges because the user creates an order. The moment they do that, slippage is into their funds, and then there's no certainty on exactly what they'll receive on the destination chain. There's just a slippage tolerance. And on top of that, we're high throughput and scalability, so we can process big payments for big providers. And another big one is an announcement we actually did on Wednesday with Rockaway and Fortify. So this is quite a unique partnership where we're onboarding institutional-grade liquidity into our infrastructure because we saw a big gap where there are takers who are able to create algorithms, but then there's the liquidity side that needs to be solved also, and funds that want to get exposure to this opportunity but not bear the custody risks. So we found a great solution with an MBC wallet where the liquid funds keep custody of their assets while also allowing them to enable policies on how to manage that liquidity. So on top of that, that enables compliant cross-chain transfers where, because in liquidity pools, you don't know what the source of liquidity is, right? So with us, you can actually fix your counterparty, and this enables compliant cross-chain transfers where they can specify, for example, I want Rockaway to fulfill my transfer. And the idea here, we're trying to promote this philosophy where this new cross-chain paradigm where applications and protocols, they should just select where they want to be, whichever chain suits them best, whether it's Solana or whatever. But at the same time, they can still enable this chain abstraction or this global accessibility, where it doesn't matter where a user is, the complexity is abstracted to the back end, and they can interact with a protocol on Solana almost basically like they're on Solana. And especially because of the exact output and instant settlement, it would be the same user experience. And these kind of use cases we think are really relevant for mass adoption. So yeah, finishing it off, happy to chat with you guys, jam on ideas. I have Telegram, Twitter, email. And I thought it'd be good to finish it off with a quick 10-second demo of DLN, which we have here. So this is our native UI, a bridge from Matic into USDC, and it should be fulfilled in a matter of seconds. Yes, so right now we're going to go into the Explorer to see the transfer happen, and yeah, there we go. Fulfilled in seconds, and the user received their 10 USDC on Solana. All right, that's the end of it. Thanks, guys.